All right, welcome to the After Party Podcast. I'm Raj. This is Rob, your host, and today we are at the Kells Irish Pub, the famous one in Seattle, and we have the owner here,
Patrick.
Yeah,
Good to see you
yeah,
guys.
good to see you.
Appreciate
Good
your
to be
time.
here. Appreciate you letting us here. We are the day before Halloween here, so
Yes.
pretty awesome to be here. So. Yeah, just for us, starting out, one of the things we wanted to do is just get out locally to different places and see if we can set up our podcast at different spots of Seattle. And Kells has always been one of the spots we always wanted to come to, and it's awesome to do it right before Halloween here, especially with the history that it has here. So again, thanks.
It is definitely one of the weirdest buildings in the city for sure.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of get into that a little bit? Just kind of the history on that.
Yeah, as I said, we're Kells is here 40. This is our 40th year, and
Wow.
the building would be its 120th this year, so it was 1903. So, this is a pretty unique old place. We refurbed it back in 2017-18. We always joked about it. It's probably the most significant historical build out in the country without gaining a square inch.
Oh.
So it was kind of fun bringing it back to its former glory. As I said, it's the first freestanding, building here, probably in First Avenue in the market.
Yeah.
So, as we're for 5 years older than the market itself. So,
It's crazy.
so it was kind of, fun being able to bring it back, and, we're still not done yet.
Yeah.
Still working on upstairs, but it's pretty special.
Dude, the Kells was originally just the downstairs, then you guys purchased the upstairs.
Good question. Yeah, we purchased the building in 2005. So 1983, Kells was downstairs, Alaska Trade, and of course the Butterworth building here. And I'd say, historically, if we're getting into that,
Yeah.
with the old Butterworth, where Kells back bar is where we do our live music.
Mm-hmm.
Back in from 1903 to 1919, I believe that's when the Butterworths used it as their, of course, part of their funeral home.
Yep.
And that would have been that's where they had the horses, the hay. The room we're in right now would have been the fitting room for the caskets. One floor above us is the I guess would be the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do another bar up there.
Oh, nice.
And then one floor above that would have been, they say, historically offices. And then one floor above that would be their living quarters. And then from then there's been a lot of, urban legend, from it was a house of ill repute for a little while in the 20s. And then they said even during at one point it was a mortuary or a crematorium. Now I heard there's myths about that, but there's nothing official on the books about that. But when you go up to the back there, under the sidewalk, there's some. They have, like legend has it, that's where they kept the urns, and they're still there. And you're like, it's again, nothing official, but that's what they said they were for.
Wow.
That was the joke going back to Seattle in the early late 1800s, early 1900s was 10% of the Seattle budget tax came from a seamstress tax.
Oh, yeah.
So they did, you probably
Yep.
heard this one, so they did the audit and realized there were no sewing machines, but
Yeah.
it was still 10%.
They're still getting money.
So
right?
this building may have gone into that direction as well.
Wow.
At least Kells has been the three, or this building's been the three places you're dying to get into, is the bar, the funeral home,
Yeah.
and the house of ill repute.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I heard, mentioning there, with all that stuff, the history there's been, the different hauntings or ghosts. They said, I think I read someplace that they claimed to have been, there's like 19 ghosts that are living out here, or they had.
It's funny, we were looking at for a new name for our concept on First Avenue, and it's a friend of mine. It's like, it's 21 spirits, and then there's another guy's, no, it's 11. And I'm like, you gotta
It's a huge range.
Yeah.
Stephen over there, we're like, yeah, if you're gonna just, we're gonna make a decision here and pick a name, you gotta at least get the legend right.
Get the legend right, yeah.
It's kind of like when across the street here, we used to have these two beautiful Japanese plum trees,
Mm-hmm.
and the Pikely Sparkle were all so proud of their historical aspects of the market, but they cut them down.
Oh.
And his legend had it, that's where Chief Seattle planted them for his granddaughter, Princess Angelina. And I'm like, and they were beautiful. And I said, you cut them down? Yeah, but they were going to die anyway. And I'm like, what? So, and one of the gals was like, yeah, but that's myth. And I'm like, I don't think people go to Mount Olympus in Greece and, they're not expecting to see Zeus.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but millions of people go anyway, but it's our myth, so just don't mess with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. So that's, or not so fun that, but
Yeah.
here we have definitely some, I've probably spent more time in this building alone than anybody else in the last 100+ years.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, it's a lot of weird experiences for sure, but, whereas I've had other people that have more visual experiences.
Visual.
Mine have definitely been more the feeling thing, but,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's whatever to a lot of people. So.
Yeah.
The chills, the creaky sounds, the random sounds, in different
Now
floors
I
kind of deal.
got to take those a little more serious now because since we refurbed the building back then, it was a lot more creaking. The older compressors coming on. You're kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
Then sometimes things happen here. You're like, when you know the place well, you're like, I can't explain that. That's
Yeah,
just
you can't.
weird,
Yeah, one of the things I hear is I think there's the two ghosts or the two main ghosts that they always talk about, or I saw is the Charlie's one, that's and then an older gentleman, and then there's the little girl, right? That
Yes,
plays with
that's the
Frank.
big one here, and that's the most recent kind of crazy one was one of our door guys here, Josiah, years ago, or about 10 years ago, and he chased her upstairs here, and he ran through
Right
her.
here.
And it's funny when my friend Eric Johnson was doing a little show on this, he's like, kind of talking about connecting dots, I said,
Mm-hmm.
but you know Jack Thompson? He goes, oh yeah, I know his dad. And I said, well, if you track him down, I'm sure he'd get a hold of, they're all related.
Yeah.
So he goes, oh yeah, I'll get a hold of him sort of within a day to kind of connect. And he's like, oh God. So just somebody of about 3 months ago, Josiah came in, hadn't seen him in a little while. And he comes in, he goes, yeah, did you get a hold of Eric? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, and he brought his girlfriend and he goes, and he's this great, big, massive guy. And he was afraid to come over alone.
Yeah. Oh wow.
So, but it's funny, my daughter, who's, according to the people that do these things, they talk to the other side. They said, up to the age of about 4, the kids just have this connection. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter, now she's kind of talking in sense and stuff, but she would go to the bottom of the stairs, and she was like just walking at the time before she was 2. She'd go stand at the bottom of the stairs, and she just blabs away to somebody.
Oh wow.
So it's funny. I wanted her to come with me tonight for fun, but she didn't want to go. But I said to her the other day, we're up the stairs, and I go, do you want to talk to the ghost? And she's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait.
And she talked to she goes, oh, look, he's in the corner. I mean, it's
Yeah.
playful stuff.
Playful stuff. Yeah.
But it's kind of.
Like you said, they said like you said up to 4 or whatever, they have that thin veil or whatever they call it, right?
Like
But
animals,
but
yeah.
whatever, to the point where, as I remember, my in-laws, we went to this place in Eastern Oregon. It's like a Baker City, and it's a pretty famous the Old Geezer, it's called. It's a hotel. It's beautiful old, actually same generation, it's probably late 1800s. In fact, it was built the same year as Kells, Portland.
Oh, okay.
1989, and it was the Old Geezer, and it's renowned to be haunted. So my daughter was in there last summer,
Mm-hmm.
and again, not really talking, not much to sense it, but she goes to the bathroom there, and she just starts talking to somebody for about 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
To the point where FaceTime my in-laws in South Africa, and they're like, you gotta stop this. And she's like, it's funny for a minute, but you gotta stop this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I bring her here and she starts blabbing away, it's pretty funny, but not in a scary kind of way, which is good. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. So.
Have you so most of the stories or the haunts that you heard of or you seen or you feel they're all more
good
friendly?
question. Yes, except for I've shared this one many times, and people say, "Have you had a weird experience?" I'm like, "Yeah, me, it's like I'm more feeling stuff." And
Yeah.
they're like, "Okay, wait a minute. There's one
Mhm.
there's one massive standout, but just blows everything else away." Like when I was like 13 or 14, I was helping my dad close up one night. We're driving home, and you walk in the back bar, and the mirror falls off and smashes, and there's a candle lit. And of course, back then there was no fire door at the back.
Yeah.
And but still, then you could probably scientifically explain it. Like, you know what? The guy didn't blow the candle out. The mirror breaks. Whatever.
Yeah.
And we could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
And then, but the crazy one is, or the crazy real one is, I'm in the front bar Thanksgiving night, 2005. So we just bought the building. And there was a gal who used to be like a superintendent of the building. God forgive me, I used to call her the camp because she was the worst person in the world. She'd be like, the musicians would leave like their guitar case in the hallway, and she'd steal it and hide them. And you're just like, why do you do that? You know?
Jeez.
And so So fast forward to this night. It's Thanksgiving night, closed. So I'm just waiting for my friend Josh and Paulette to show up, and they don't know each other. So it wasn't like they go, hey, let's play a little joke.
Joke.
So I'm facing what would be the view, like what we're looking at right now,
Yeah.
out.
Out. Yeah.
And they come in, and I'm like, okay, hey, ready guys, ready to go? We're going to go meet some friends in the city there. And she's like, are you closed today? And I'm like, no, I'm just waiting for you guys. And he goes, yeah, but what's with the lady in the kitchen? And she's like, yeah, the redheaded lady. And I'm thinking for a second, oh no, it's Marilyn. She's back.
Yeah.
And we turn around, of course, and this is like one now. Now we have 2 people.
Yeah.
Lights are on. Okay? The lights were on in the kitchen. And we turn around, we all walk back there, and I'm like, that's the one time with the skin of my, hairs the back of my neck. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
Whereas all the years I've been here, but people go, you up there alone by yourself? Yeah, all the time, because
Yeah.
my mother would say I'm a little more concerned about the living of the dead, really, and,
Yeah.
and those,
Yeah, yeah.
because we've had some pretty crazy characters that have, hit upstairs and surprised you, and you're like, well, that was worse than the ghost. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. So that's the crazy.
Yeah.
Like we all look at each other. We have to leave now.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
is that. 3 of us here. Then I was facing that way, but those 2 are like they're. What?
Yeah.
That was by far and away the crazy one right there. And then of course, my experience has been you have more of the feeling kind of
Yeah.
Again, you can say, oh, my best one is. The best fake one, like we think, oh my God, this is
This is
this is
it.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
now for this ghost thing, we finally beat them, right?
Yeah.
So it was a guy, God love him, God rest him, Frankie was his name. And he used to clean up here, and he was a neighbor, he's an old friend, he's a lovely guy, but very quiet guy.
Yeah.
And he was just a gentleman of a guy, but he was very quiet.
Mhm.
So it was a snowstorm one night,
Yeah.
and we're at the back bar, and we just got cameras in. Okay, so all of a sudden, snow comes in. There's no one in the bar. It's like 3 of us were standing there, and TV's on. All of a sudden, you hear the door, see it sway open, close.
Yeah.
You look at each other like, whoa, that is nuts. Guys, I got the cameras now. We are gonna see the ghost of the rooster.
Yeah.
So we kind of
catch
wait
it.
a few seconds. It was a really bad stormy night, so we opened the door. Right, not even a footstep out there. Like, oh, we got this. It's
Yeah.
not the wind. We go back there. Back, it was VHS. So go back about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to see this. We're standing. Clearly, we should not be doing security. Frankie walks in, just quietly behind us, stares up at the TV. Clearly, not a lot going on. Clearly, we're just talking a lot of
Yeah.
nonsense. And he's probably just like, yeah, time to go. And just walks out the door. And we, of course, think it's the ghost. Of course, if I hear these stories, people are like, oh, this happened to me. And I'm like, or like, lights trigger on. You're like,
Trigger,
well,
yeah.
they're time. There's a sensor and
Sensor,
lights
yeah.
go on. Don't get too carried away. But that was one we're kind of like, okay, clearly we should not be doing any security.
Security.
here.
Let the guy go right behind me.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was, and we're like, whoa. It was,
Yeah.
So, but back to when Paulette and Josh did that, you're like, okay, that was for real.
That was
okay,
for
that
real.
was like, could you walk back there? It's like, there's no other door here, guys.
Yeah.
This is
is
it.
it.
Otherwise, you're gonna do a big deadbolt, and
Yeah.
you'd hear a lot of things. And it was 10
Wow.
seconds later, we're back there. Because I'm like, and it's so funny. I'm thinking it's this lady, and they're thinking it's the ghost, and then realize it was. So I remember going to this other neighbor of ours here, and of course, I gotta tell this story. This
Yeah.
is insane. This is like front page news for me for about a month. And of course, a few people out here are like, oh yeah, we've seen her. You're like, okay,
Yeah, but-
So
Yeah.
finally, that was the
This
one
is
time I
buzz.
went. I like the little red dress one. Like this. Maybe people are starting to connect on with other people's little experiences. But this is the one time I could say, okay, so you've heard of this gal, and I didn't see her, but the other 2.
Yeah.
It was, it was what's I feel like a part of it for
Part of
once,
it, yeah.
with the club.
Yeah, you're like, I'm part of it. I saw it.
Well,
I was part of it.
It's hard to,
Yeah.
to explain when your antennas go up and you get that feeling and your
Yeah,
hairs go
and
up.
of course
It's
I
like,
get the hypersensitive. It's
Yeah.
like, we
Heart is
did
beating
this,
faster.
My friend Susan, she does this, Susan Cummins, she did, has done a couple of overnight deals here with people. And there's one of those nights, again, it was Halloween,
Yeah.
probably 2009, I think maybe.
Okay.
And she brings a group Halloween night, and it was upstairs, they've just finished the construction, so it was all open room. And yeah, I've got it, the heaters weren't on. The windows weren't open, but it was like we did the thing. She starts in this conversation with the other side. And I have to say, even the group 10, 12 was there, like, the temperature must have dropped 10 degrees in a minute. And I don't know. I mean, but then you're like, yes, but then that could probably be explained scientifically in some way. But with this night, when you have 10, 15, people all look at each other going,
Mhm.
"Are you cold?
Yeah.
This is weird," you know.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if they control thermostats or anything like that, but you know, there are moments where I'm sure we could all sit down and you know,
Yeah.
You know.
Have that feeling here and there.
Mhm.
and I'm sure our our Neil Tyson can sit down
Yeah.
and work it all out for us.
Like,
exactly
well, that's
what happened
for
on
this.
that day.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
I'm sure, I'm going to go with him on that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I remember on that day. Actually, there was a gust of wind going on.
Yes. There was on that particular night in 2009.
yeah. I remember that day. So
He probably does, you know.
yeah. So in 1983 when it was,
Yeah.
so that was part of your family as well in
Yeah,
1983.
I was 19. I was 11. I was the youngest child in the family. So
So how did you guys become to know that okay there's these haunts around this thing, or was it after you bought it, before you knew about it?
Good question. I mean, I knew a little bit. I mean, as a kid, you know, and my family, you know, I guess, you know, I think that was always part of the kind of the folklore of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was always, you know, you know, now the Butterworths and the Peanut Mortuary was kind of I guess it was kind of for us, maybe the Irish Catholic thing. It was almost like that. This is a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe there's other cultures be like, oh, stay away from
Stay
that
away
one.
from that.
You know, it's just like, I think it was definitely. I guess it was be a comfort, or definitely not a deterrent. you know?
Sure, yeah.
And it's only in years later on that it became, because you know the Butterworths. Even though I've met some of the family
Oh, wow.
that are living along the West
Oh, wow.
Coast, nice people and all that.
Mhm.
But historically, the characters that were running the show here probably weren't top 10 people of all time. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't really morticians. You
Yeah.
know, they were clearly pretty good at business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, weren't championing any
No.
any charities.
Charities, nope.
Yeah.
No.
So they were. So that's before that became like a real thing, you know. And yeah, there's been different groups that have come through here that have been kind of captivated by it, and again, and that's the one fun thing. It is just the weirdest old place on earth, you know.
Yeah.
And I have to say, because we're actually, my wife and we're moving upstairs here.
Oh,
So,
wow,
yeah,
okay.
the 5th floor. So that's why it's a good thing that my daughter has a little bit of comfort talking to
Talk
ghosts
to
every
this,
day. You know?
yeah.
So at least we're like, well, at least that she's not, some kids that age. It's really funny. She's on the dark side because she's like, except she doesn't like the idea of goblins eating her toes at night or anything like that. That bothers her a lot. But if there was like some kids like Santa Claus, she loves witches. And,
Mhm.
Yeah, opposite, yeah.
you
And my
know,
son's kind of like that too.
zombies and, it's funny.
This time of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to live in, Seattle's first mortuary. May as
Yeah,
well.
might as well, yeah.
You should better enjoy it.
Yeah.
Go big.
We're in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. So.
So outside of you, anybody else in your family kind of like experience some stuff? Like how did your like your parents or your dad, like how did he feel about the whole thing?
It's like it's really funny. I remember was it Father Tony and Jandro, they would come in here and they of course blast the place and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I think if anything it's that Irish culture thing is that they're obsessed with death.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like it's a pastime.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's like maybe you go to any older generation,
Yep.
any culture, kind of they'll make fun of people for that kind of stuff. But the Irish are just really good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like they've cornered the market. So what a perfect fit for an Irish bar.
Yeah.
That was kind of our first theme. It was like before it was if you can't go to Ireland, come to Kells. It was like it was for an Irish wake or wedding. That was kind of covered all.
Mhm.
But yeah, some cultures would, and I'd say Americans death would probably not something you kind of
No.
want to avoid. Whereas the Irish, it's kind of front and center.
It's like,
there
it is.
So it's,
You know you get yourself into. So.
well, they'll do it,
Yeah.
So you may as well accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's can't do much about the taxes. May as well just cover the death. thing.
Death part,
So,
yeah. Tax is gonna happen. Let's steer towards death. We'll corner that market.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, going back to what you were saying about the family and the experience that we've had. Yeah, I guess my siblings each have had their own little thing. But as I said, I've been here the longest. I've been here since my other brother did the Kells down in Portland, and then the brother did the Kells down in San Francisco, and that's 35 years to Portland, and
Yeah.
at least he's nearly 30 years in San Francisco.
Wow.
That's
The
awesome.
brewery's been in Portland 15 years.
Yeah.
It's still some stuff. But oh yeah, we just opened. No, that's 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like, so being here alone, it's kind of a, to be, and it's funny, these are conversations like Brian, our daytime chef here, spent those like 35 years. You could probably ask him too. It's like he's a very quiet guy, but sometimes I'll say to him, "Did you ever see this happen?" He goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember as we were coming to do this today, it's like I saw Brian this morning. He comes in really, really early in the morning. It could be like 6 or 7 in the morning. Should have kind of run a few by him because he's got to have as many stories as me.
Lord, yeah.
So it's like leaving yourself open to it. It's like maybe it's. I'm not the guy that's gung ho about. Like I'm gonna be. Like that joke about, if Elvis really did come back from the dead, did he really go to a swap meet in Indiana? I mean,
Exactly.
Like the Super Bowl or something, something.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, maybe Elvis isn't at that swap meet, or maybe, but sometimes this crazy old building, so my friend Susan, who was doing she would do I guess we'll call it, we're Catholics, we don't use seance, but it's more like, say you're talking to the other side.
Other side, yeah.
And she would so according to me, or according to her, she said the spirits actually like me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But when Zach came over here from Ghost Adventures, they didn't like him. They thought he was too abrasive.
They just knew something about him.
Yeah, well, he shots a lot, so But I have to say, fair play to him. That guy, they were there on 24 hours a day. That's not a shtick. That's
that's
their thing.
Oh, wow.
That's not a hobby.
Is he the one that's like? So I saw. Was he the one that's like saw some kind of apparition down the stairs, like the little girl?
Yeah, it's like, and I during that whole thing, it was fun, But it's fair play to them. There's no 6 o'clock. Let's go on and do it. No,
make something happen.
No, that's 24 hours a day. So,
wow.
But apparently he's very aggressive.
Yeah.
Piss some spirits off.
And these guys,
doing
for
that.
example, just say you're on vacation and you want to go to Puerto Rico or Hawaii, whatever. And my friend Susan, for example, she's going to go to a insane asylum that closed down in Pennsylvania. That's her thing. Or I joked to her. She went to Scotland last year, and I'm saying to her, I said, maybe you've watched a little bit too much of Outlander, and I was afraid she's going to find the stones and sucked in. Like, see you later. I know what happened to her.
Yeah.
So man, maybe we'll do a show that here in the Butterworth building, So, that was what I was saying. I was hoping I could say to people, it's like, when we start this construction back in 17 and 18, I'm sure there's going to be some crazy stuff happens. When
Find some things.
We start knocking walls out.
Like
I always hear about, every tale of a ghost story. Usually it was disturbing, something you shouldn't be. But it was maybe, and of course my defense of the ghost not coming out, because maybe they were like, maybe they're bringing it back the way it used to be.
Yeah. So in a good way.
In a good way. So maybe that's me covering myself. Covering the brand.
Yeah.
So as I said, even if Steve and I were talking about doing the bar on First Avenue, no one's ever really kind of celebrated what it was. So we're definitely our next speakeasy venture we're doing there. We'll definitely celebrate a lot of that. So
that's awesome.
Fun. So, from the and having a loft hotel experience upstairs too. That'll be fun for some people. As I said, it's kind of it's alive in a way, or dead, whatever.
People will pay to do that, to stay up there. So, I mean, I just stumbled across. You guys ever hear about those extreme haunted houses?
Yeah, I've come across. We mentioned in a few books, so I've kind of read the other tales, and some of them are like, why would you want to do that?
You'll never find me at one of those places. I'm good.
No, there's this one. I forgot what I guess this guy name's like Russ something, right? I don't know if you ever heard about him. I just came across this, and I guess he's like pushes to the extreme, right? And then if you have to sign it's like a 20-page waiver, and like things say like they can pull your teeth out, they can do dental work on like that kind of stuff, and he claims to have over 20,000 people on a waiting list, and then his main thing is like if you survive the whole, it's 8 hours, could go to 10 hours. He said that if you survive the whole thing, you get 20,000, and people are like clamoring over it. That's it. Yeah, 20,000. I was like, I wouldn't do that, but a
few million.
But
maybe.
I mean, there's people that look for this kind of stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's one thing about here. You don't have to look too far. Definitely have to maybe a light version of that.
Oh,
I think Steve and I might give even 20 grand out at night. It's definitely would be. It's as I said, you get the folks that are, did you see that? You're like, well, if you behave that way, I don't think you're gonna really see anything.
No,
you
no.
know? But it's like kind of those weight back things and say, oh yeah, it was kind of, it's as I said, my mom had this thing. It's kind of like she was like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I'm like, "No, no." But there's she called them unrested souls.
All right.
Kind of, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
So
Unrested.
because clearly, some of the stuff that goes on here, and it's repetitious. You're like, that's just a bit too, Like my experience, I've done this, where, like upstairs,
Yeah.
using like one of the floors is kind of like, workshop,
Yeah.
fixing a table or something, and then
Mm-hmm.
put the screw gun on the table and it falls off. You're like, okay, I didn't balance it right.
Yeah.
And the third time you do it, it comes off. You're like,
Okay.
now maybe you could say, we'll
Yeah.
bring in Neil.
Neil, yeah.
And
Yep.
he's like, well, P, the air
Yeah,
conditioning was on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
There
What was
was
the
no
temperature?
window
Yeah.
open. And I'm like, maybe I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
But it just keeps falling off the table. And
Yeah.
it doesn't happen every day. But
Yeah.
maybe that's just not my day. And of
No,
course,
yeah.
it's not a very exciting story for people, but it was my story.
Mhm.
I mean, that's probably the most realistic. Like
Yeah,
that's
you
probably
know.
realistically.
So talk it over. You're like, you playing with me here?
Yeah. I think people just want to go for that overly scary thing where it's probably not gonna,
it's not.
Yeah.
Ours are like happy ones, and like for example, we only have 2 plaques in the bar of old customers here. One of them's called Danny Pierce,
Hmm.
and it's the end of the bar, and it's he was this. I used to call him this old character. When I finally looked him up the other, it was a couple of months ago. I was like, how old was he? He was like late 50s.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
he's a couple years older than me right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? And he was, to me, you thought he was Gandalf.
Yeah.
He was so old. And he had these tales and stories. But I remember he said one day, he's the one person I would say goodnight to if I was closing.
Yeah.
Still. Because I remember he used to have we have this window on top left corner, and it's open most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd always say, when I die, can you make sure that window stays open? So that's how I come in and out.
Oh.
So that's the one kind of connection I would have with somebody. I wish he was here myself. And
Huh.
when I was, God, when I was 11, 12, he was probably dead by the time I was 13 or 14.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
here for solid for about 2 years, so maybe 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And I'd see all the time, Again, I thought he was Gandalf, but he had stories that can go on for days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the old merchant marine, and he was a cop, and
Yeah.
he's from the East Coast, and it's just these stories were great just for 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that was his thing about getting out the window, and I remember like I used to think I almost looked at him. I was like, he's like a security system.
Yeah.
Until you get broken into.
Yeah.
But there were some funny ones where like this guy broke in one night and he had like buckets lined up and booze and then nothing. I used to think, what if Daddy got tucked in there that day?
Oh wow.
I don't know. Or this guy gets scared off by probably another human being. But I like the Danny story.
Yeah.
So, but that would be the one I would have with a person that would, again, what I would leave is like, good night, Danny.
Yeah.
Watch your place.
Yeah.
That was it. So it was that he's pretty, it's funny, one of those things that he stays in our memory,
And you leave that window open for him?
Of course, yeah. And sometimes it's gonna be very, very cold, so I hope he's in already.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You ever just say bye, Danny, on the way out?
Danny, it's gonna be a little irresponsible for us to leave the window.
Yeah. We're going to close it today. So that's awesome. So just around this area, because for me, Rob, our first interaction here was we mentioned a haunted tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this area just has pretty historic like that, right?
Oh
Has a
yeah,
lot
we
of
have probably 3 or 4 different tours a night.
Yeah.
So.
Daily,
Pretty
like
popular.
outside of Halloween too and everything?
Oh
or-
yeah,
Oh, wow.
summertime especially, that may be even busier.
Yeah.
And they do some really, I mean, if you're into that, or it's just some folks put on, a really good history of the area too.
Yeah.
And, it's one thing about Seattle's history is nothing they're really proud of.
Yeah.
I used to joke about our history's our future. Our history's our future.
Yeah.
I'd say until a few years ago, I would have said Seattle's the most dynamic place in the world.
Yeah.
We got tripped up there for a couple
Yeah.
of years.
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
hopefully our best years are still ahead of us.
Still ahead of us
Not
now.
bad.
Yeah.
But if you went back 100 years, 150 years here, God, we got some real gangsters came in here that were just terrible people.
Yeah.
I mean, from the Elliott Point. I mean, we actually call this thing Elliott Bay. I mean, really, after that guy, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's. But that's why some of the people do these nice tours. They do a pretty good history of as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
as some pretty fun supernatural stuff too. So they put on a good show, but it's also a pretty good historical
Yeah.
piece as well, But that's what I was shared with you earlier about the trees planted by Chief
Yeah,
Seattle,
right,
which is not really urban legend. It's kind of factual because she actually lived in a little hut what is at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
Here. And you're like, only the Pike Place Market would do something like that.
Yeah.
You're like, you really cut down those
Yeah,
trees?
yeah.
You know, oh, but they were going to die. No, I brought a guy in.
Yeah.
He said they
were perfectly fine.
No, he said they were in bad shape, but he could fix it.
Fix them, yeah.
And I'm like, so,
Yeah.
So for $350,000, you planted those two things.
Yeah.
But again, and I wish because he was, with the Duwamish tribe here, and I just, that's one thing I wish that a little bit has been lost a little bit. I'd be more curious. To find out more about to the native community that lived here too.
Yeah.
Because it was really front and center. So
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know, like, if she's living there, it must have been, this little area must have been a very vibrant little
Spot, yeah.
wasn't just like, this is where the community would have lived.
Yep.
So this is front and center. And that's why I'm delighted when they took down the viaduct and
Yeah, the lights.
Open it
our
up.
market will cascade right into the water. It's
Water,
going to
yeah.
be pretty special.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, at least the city has an interesting past, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's terrible. Jesus,
Yeah.
it's the worst.
Yeah.
I think Mercer Island, I think he was a pimp. I think that was.
Really?
Yeah, that's
wow.
pretty much. He brought the seamstresses in.
Yeah,
He was a
he got
bit
the
of a-
tax. He brought the tax.
He was a bit
Yeah.
of a tailor.
Taylor,
Right?
he's a Taylor. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know. I think when they founded the city, they founded it mainly, or I forgot who the gentleman was who founded the city.
Well, it was Elliott Point. Like they did the Elliott
Yeah.
Point Agreement. That's when you brought
Yeah.
the Duwamish tribe. You pretty much said that Elliott Point Agreement was you.
Yeah,
lost.
get lost.
Kick them
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then you're like, great, and you named the body of water
After you,
brilliant,
yeah.
Um,
Then I guess we made because the timber tree, right? The trees, right? So then I guess San Francisco was burning like every other month down, and we were just sending the wood down there, and making our money off
Yeah,
of
we're on
that.
Skid Row right here. Yeah, I was
Skid-
yeah. And then the Norsemen selling everything out to the guys.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Gold Rush.
Yeah.
That was the real gold rush.
Gold
So,
rush, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going back to so you go back to that, so 10% of your budget was a seamstress tax.
Yeah.
How bad a shape were you people?
Boy, that, yeah.
So it's but yeah, our early days were, I used to joke about that. You're like, so we got incorporated in 1862 when the rest of the country was fighting a civil war. You just kind of snuck that one in.
Yeah.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
I'll be doing this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but kind of squaring the circle, as you say, they do again. They do a lot of tours around here that are
Yeah.
pretty fun. But they're fun, entertaining, but pretty informative.
Yeah.
Of course, I've not been on them, but I've witnessed them every day, and they do a pretty fun job in that way. So, and it's fun that they come by here, and we do our best to kind of add to the color of it, especially when it's just a weird old place.
Yeah.
And some of the characters that time of the morning too, that they add to that whole thing.
Yeah, they
too,
add to the whole thing, yeah.
And we got our own versions of mummies
Yeah.
and zombies.
Yeah,
nice.
they're right here.
Yeah.
They're outside
So,
right there.
yeah.
For the center.
So,
No. So just in general, do you know of any other just we're talking haunted stories, haunting stuff. Do you know anything else, urban legend around Seattle that maybe not here, but anything else?
I've been doing
like that interesting.
I have to say, to me, around the market. I mean, people find it are more sensitive what we call historical areas. It's kind of like I always laugh at Europeans love to say the old country because they say more of a written history maybe
Yeah.
it goes back a little farther. But that's why I used this experience here. It's like I know these people lived in this area,
Yeah.
right here,
Here.
literally in this building, in this area for a long time. So it's like maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm connecting dots here, but it's like that human experience has been here for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not just a group of trees over there. It's like this people right here.
Yeah.
And, so my experience is going to be like, we hear that's what people say, oh, Pioneer Square, this is down there. It's like, I don't know. But throughout the market here, like I know there's some tales about down by where the clock is. You go down the stairs, there's somebody that walks around there. But that's one place, when I was younger, kind of walking through the lane,
Yeah.
that was one place that would freak me out a little
Yeah.
bit, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a little bit more wide open. I'm not
Yeah.
just used to it.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. I'm trying to remember on the tour we did over here. We went here, then we went to another spot around here. Might be towards Surprise here, where it's like a doll. Something about a doll in the house or in the thing. forgot what it was.
I
remember.
probably should have done a better job of freshening up my stories.
Yeah.
I'm glad it
Yeah.
came in cold.
Oh yeah.
It's better. It's more real. you
More
know,
real.
you know.
Yeah,
It's
real
not scripted,
conversation.
you
Yeah,
know.
and off the cuff.
And that's the thing too. It's like when you're doing that. Sometimes I don't want to be. You know, that's why, like, I'm a history buff already. So it's like, I know a lot about, of course, about the building too. But as I said, a lot of things that people talk about, a lot of these things do fall into the realm of urban legend. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
did it really,
Yeah.
And of course, then sometimes you say, well, sometimes that's just history too.
Yeah.
You know? It's a good story, but
Yeah.
but sometimes the history of the whole thing is interesting. As I said here, like the Champion building across
Yeah.
the way, that's where they would used to keep the carriages. And of
Yeah.
course, and after 1909 or 1910, that's when they switched to the car. Or
Mhm.
1912, I think, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so they went to you can see old pictures we have out front. Very quickly, it went from the carriage to the car.
Yeah.
And of course, so that freed up some space downstairs for the
Downstairs.
horses
Yeah.
out the door, and then that would be, and that's where and this is not a lot in writing, but this is the
Yeah.
story has come back. Well, that's where they did the crematorium.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they? I mean, it's part of the story, but
Hmm.
so that's what that would have been in that
Yeah.
area there. Again, that could be believable due to the fact they weren't even morticians anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just throw a little crematorium in there? and
Yeah,
make
yeah,
a few
Regular
extra bucks?
Joe, say.
Yeah,
And
we'll
of
do
course,
it.
the people say that was at the time of the Spanish flu, and there was a lot of bodies.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
so-
yeah, but they were already on Capitol Hill by 1919,
Yeah.
and I don't know how quick of a transition that was. Did it
Mm.
go from Butterworth here to up on Capitol
Up there.
Hill, or was it a year or two?
You take them. Yeah.
Who knows?
That's great. Yeah. So you said you've also talked to their family stuff, like. So
Yeah, if you guys have come in, they're nice people,
Yeah.
But I kind of I joke when the first time I met them, I'm like, geez, you guys are the worst. So, yeah, because you go to the tours around here, you guys are not.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
That's not a good one,
It's not the last name you want around here.
Yeah, but there's some of their funeral home up in, the cemeteries up in Queen Anne.
Oh,
They
still?
have their
Okay.
mansion up in, that was it. There's another crazy, that's the crazy one. Buddy of mine lived in that house.
Oh,
And
really?
he's a Colombian guy too, so it was pretty funny. I do love about these guys. They're, you especially get a lot of, foreigners. Sometimes they're
Yeah.
overly literate.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
in
oh,
other words,
yeah.
they speak
Yeah,
English
oh,
better than we
yeah,
want to
yeah,
speak it,
yeah, yeah.
And but some of his descriptions of it were pretty funny. But he lived there, and he goes, it was nuts. And again, Camilo's a pretty good guy to
Yeah.
judge in that one, because he's not Mr. Supernatural. Like,
Yeah.
that's his thing. No, it was this is just nothing added up. So,
Wow.
so I guess that would be the other spot. Again, it's another Butterworth connection.
Do you know how
I
long
mean-
he lived at that place for?
Kind of was just after university, so probably a year or two.
Oh.
Probably have to corner him on that one. So he moved back to Columbia, so I'll have to
Yeah.
find out. So, but yeah, whatever he lived or worked in there, did some work on the place. So, I'd have to find more about that one. Yeah.
So it looks like the trail of what they did here.
Yeah, well,
went,
again,
went with them
The
everywhere.
interesting thing, it's
Yeah.
like, there's a friend of mine, Dr. Champion here in Seattle. He bought this hotel in Cimarron, New Mexico,
Oh wow.
and it just stands out to me because remember there's a story we're watching that was on TV series, and Pueblo, Colorado shows up, and if
Yeah.
someone the closest, I guess, to airports is Pueblo, Colorado. And that's what he would talk about. You fly in there, you got to buy this hotel off me. It's great. It's haunted. You're like,
Yeah, it's hot.
what could go wrong?
Yeah.
First of all, I've never heard of the town.
Yeah.
And we're going to open and it's a hotel that
Yeah.
you clearly don't want anymore.
Yeah.
And then you want me to buy it, and I'm going to run a hotel from Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
And again, one more time, it's haunted.
Yeah. On top of that.
That's one, yeah. So it's, but yeah, that was that one. But around Seattle here, it's, definitely Kells, probably this old building is
Yeah.
going to be, and I guess we're going to find out ourselves as we start, redoing our new concept at First Avenue. It's
Yeah.
going to be, we're going to find out how happy they are with us.
With us,
It's just this might be a weird show every night.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think there was I saw that there's I think a base I don't know if it's a military base, whatever, down in Vancouver,
yeah.
Washington, and apparently they had an auditorium, and they were redoing the auditorium, and they found bodies, right? Because it was ancient Indian burial ground, and then ever since that it was started getting more threatening, I guess. Some of the before it was they had some spirits, they said, but it was whatever. But after
And I was
that,
like, guys, I remember where we're doing the place up for 7 is before we owned the building, there's a place was up there called Avenue 1, and they were the first kind of restaurant that just, there was a place called Cafe Sophie who really celebrated the whole, mortuary, what
Yeah.
it was, and they kept a lot of the features, the mahogany wood.
Oh, wow.
Avenue 1 went in there, and they ripped it all out.
Oh.
I mean, it was about a year or two before we bought it, so it was like, I probably would not have ripped out the
Yeah.
mahogany, but they just ripped it out, put brand spanking new, and I have to say, the stories of the employees that said up there, it was insane. Plates flying. I mean,
Oh.
they had stories out the door. It was, Kells, I don't think we have, one of our guys like, I'd love to blame the ghosts and all the broken glasses and
Yeah.
plates sometimes, but, no, it's just, I think it was user error.
Yeah, either.
But their stories were like, in the brief time they're open, I don't think they were open 2 years.
Yeah.
Every night was a crazier story.
Wow.
I think it goes to like what you're saying, keeping it original,
They-
right?
they-
Let's not rock the boat.
We knew it enough. You're like, oh, did you really take that out? That's too.
Yeah.
So in our feature, like we pretty much preserved it from the crown molding.
that's
Like
awesome.
it took about like the market didn't want us to cut even into the crown molding. I'm like, you didn't even know
Really?
it was there until I
Yeah.
knocked out the wall.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I got to put an elevator in. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
that's the law. So
Yeah.
anyways, after about a year kicking that can down the road, it finally happened. So, but again, right now that floor probably looks more like it did in 1915 than it ever did in the last
wow.
20 years.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
And I like I said, the way you keep everything original and stuff. That's, I think it adds
here
the
it's like we
element.
probably, in a way, reinvented that in a way, because, I mean, we've got up here, I think this was, that was it. When we first moved, Kells moved here, it was an old wood workshop.
Oh, really?
That's the back bar was.
Okay.
And that guy, I remember I only met him once or twice. I was pretty young, and maybe not say I would have loved to ask, or maybe not as interested, but he knew a lot about the building. He would have been a really neat person to kind of
Yeah.
pick his brain. 40 odd years ago. So.
Yeah.
But this floor here, that time when we were up there, I think they'd set up like back, it's kind of before a computer, so you had like tables of typewriters. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of because an engineering firm was upstairs. So,
Oh, wow.
and that's why you see these old doors here. They'd connected these buildings for a little while here.
yeah,
So I
it's
just
just-
kept the doors as features and
Yeah.
didn't take them away. And we put in the wood floor because that's what was here
Here,
at one
yeah.
time. So it's kind of while there's no imaging of this, we kind
Yeah.
of recreated of what probably was here.
Yeah.
So, which kind of suits the whole, kind of the charm of the building is such.
Yeah. So so you started out with one down below,
Yeah,
then you
Kells
got the
had-
second here,
yeah.
and now you're going to restore it up, going up,
Yeah,
right?
and a rooftop deck as well. So,
And a rooftop deck.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll be
wow.
pretty special. I don't know how many ghosts will be up there, but we'll find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
We're gonna find
find
out,
out.
Stephen. We're gonna do this.
Yeah. What's the timeline on getting all that?
That'll be for spring.
Oh, wow.
Spring.
First Avenue by Christmas.
Oh, there you go. You heard it.
Next week.
All right.
And with our home on the rooftop or the fifth level.
Yeah.
Hopefully that would be nice for Christmas, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's
Like,
awesome.
I love you put these targets and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun.
Are you able to keep the pub running while you're doing all this
Oh, yeah,
construction?
yeah. It was more challenging when we did the build out in 2017. We had to close this whole side down
Oh,
for
wow.
a year.
Yeah.
And only use the other side. And that was a real pain.
Wow.
This
yeah.
one is, it's actually, compared to that, this is seamless.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's, as I said, all our stuff we're doing on First Avenue is pretty much refurb from,
Refurb.
just, it's good to go. Our, plumbing and all that, electronics already there. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much just superficial stuff. Yeah.
So you guys have Kells here. You said you have Portland and you have San Francisco.
Francisco, yeah.
Is there anything else out there? Like,
No, just pick really liberal cities where you can't
Yeah.
do business. That's just it.
I was just gonna say those.
You find one more, we'll go there.
Yeah.
No, it's funny enough there, though. Yeah, those are the three cities.
I
Yeah.
was just about to say, you want to go maybe Chicago, maybe.
They know how to do stuff there. So,
Yeah.
those are. But no, it's Seattle. It's 41 years. It's a special place here for sure.
Yeah.
And especially as I said, the Pike Place Market's the soul of the city. It's
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Got to go here. Everybody goes there. Pikes. right?
Yeah, especially when like my wife and I were at the. We went over to Mount Lake the other day, and it was just a beautiful park there. She goes, "God, it's loud here."
Mhm.
The freeway's right there, but it's loud.
Yeah.
And I'm like, funny enough, before you moved here, if you had that viaduct there, except it was not just it was did it.
Yeah.
So
Really
I used to
good.
think to myself, why do I like Thanksgiving so much? And it's the one day you wake up in the morning and went, huh, you don't hear it. And now you don't hear it. So it's like Thanksgiving every day.
Yeah,
Maybe
there you go.
maybe garbage trucks backing out.
I can live with
that.
that. It's infrequent, but not did it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you just set I mean, it's the worst,
Yeah.
And then that leaves, and you're like, guys, and that's one thing, people, everyone's entitled to their opinion on anything, but you're like, when you'd hear someone say something like, oh yeah, but I really miss my drive-in from the airport to the city, you're like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
A double-decker concrete behemoth
Yeah.
that made you feel good about your drive-in.
Yeah.
Just drive on the surface street. It's the
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, don't go in go underneath. Just drive on top.
Top,
It's
yeah,
the
you get
same
sort of-
thing,
yeah.
Except a little prettier now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Because you had all the exits on the left-hand side, if I remember correctly, going down the viaduct,
Yeah.
going south. Always throwing me off.
And it was almost like, one of these days.
Yeah.
One of these days. But I have to say, for all the, criticism people have of like public works, it's like, it's taking its sweet time. It's pretty special.
Come along,
It's a pretty neat. It's going to be a really neat feather in the cap of the city, which is one of the, arguably the nicest urban settings in the world for a major city.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty neat.
So I know with everything on, like, how do you feel with downtown Seattle with, COVID going on, just bouncing back?
We got kicked in the face.
Yeah.
The city got really, I would have had horrible things to say, but my wife's South African, so we went there for January.
Mm-hmm.
So it was probably the longest I've ever left
Yeah.
Seattle for, 20 years.
Yeah.
When I was in San Francisco, I spent a lot of time there. But that's probably the longest I've been away.
Yeah.
And I came back and I was like, all right, saw marked improvement, even that short month.
Yeah,
In January, of like not our prettiest time of year
Yeah.
by any means.
Yeah.
I wish we could put a moratorium on
Yeah.
spray paint, but
Yeah.
hate graffiti. I really do have issues with it,
Yeah.
But to see, especially when people are trying to do some pretty neat things, that just breaks my heart. When you just go, did you really? At least can you spell it right?
Yeah. Can you spell right?
You know.
Spell check, man. Spell check.
It's funny. It's like I was saying, laughing at my wife in South Africa. We go there, and I'm like, we stayed pretty close to where her parents are from, but it was like maybe I didn't go more than 2 hours in each direction, and that's real poverty. Like, tough spot.
Yeah.
No graffiti.
Wow.
And I was actually, yes, I'm not. That's a microcosm where we were of the experience, but it was like good pride of place. That's kind of want to remind people. It's like I clearly, when you're doing your graffiti, I know it's a cry for help. I get it.
Yeah.
But, we're trying. This is a really beautiful place.
Yeah.
And so it hate to be the armchair quarterback and going about city officials, and you're doing a crap job, or you're doing your best, but we do have to get. I've always said this, even when it goes back to the genius behind defunding the police. You're like, how's that going to work out?
Yeah.
No, but when they did, I've always said this. When you have businesses open, lights on, you have an opportunity, a bigger opportunity for people to break in. So when you have, it's like people were more concerned about public safety in the last year than they were COVID.
Exactly. Yep.
Be responsible. If you feel well, stay at home. But my concern was around here was a business being open, people want to work. And that's the big one. You want to keep people out of trouble. Keep them working. It's it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
But our between Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, the three cities were like.
Yep.
They took it hard.
That's what I said.
And there were some interesting, as I would say, same public experiments were like, were you an 8-year-old? Who would have thought that would have ever been a good idea?
Yeah.
So you're going to rob the store for less than $900, and we're not going to
charge you. Yeah.
I'm no throw away the key guy, but you're like, again, how's that going to work out for you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If I told you, like, I have a 3-year-old and I'm going to let her do whatever she wants for 20 years, and you're going to say, I don't think it's the best idea.
Yeah.
Now, heaven's sake, I don't want to see some poor kid,
Yeah.
one strike and throw,
They're gone.
ruins his life.
Yeah.
But you're also saying,
Gotta be something up there.
To answer your question, but I've seen just such marked improvement. And a lot of it has to do with people going out. And there's also that perception, too. Because you just said to me 2 years ago, I don't want to go down to the market to get my car broken into. Because goodness sake, you probably would.
Yeah.
And then things started, and it was petty crime stuff. It was, again, we only lost 2 windows, a little graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Got myself very lucky.
Yeah.
I think Kells Portland, they did them twice, and they had like 1-inch sheet or plywood, and
Yeah.
it must have been trucks driving through the windows. 'Cause they used to,
Wow.
so it's
Oh, you would have like that experience out of those 3 cities.
yeah,
You
that
know,
was
this-
right. So here was,
wow.
it wasn't that we had some,
Yeah.
but it was always, we have let's face it, we have these 3 cities, we have significant drug problems.
Yes, we do, yes.
We mask it by calling it homelessness.
Homeless, yeah.
Let's not laugh at that, but we have a narcotics problem.
Yep.
It's for real.
Absolutely, yeah.
I agree,
Yeah,
100%.
there's some poor critters here that they ducked when they should have swerved.
Yeah,
It's,
yep.
some tough stuff. So, but yeah, I have to say for our city, and I think a real improvement here in the last year. And of course, again, it's either you be part of the solution, or
Sushi, yeah, exactly.
otherwise don't. It's like I may not like my last city councilman, but I'm like, if you're gonna. Yeah, I can complain about it, but
Yeah.
what are you doing about it?
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
you calling his office to say, giving your 2 cents?
Mhm.
You get to be part of the
Get
solution.
involved, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like and I think we have some people coming into the fold now that are, for what it's worth, business friendly is good.
Yeah.
And it keeps our people working. If I have 25 or 30 guys, the payroll is a lot better than me having 10.
Yeah, yeah.
And they do pretty darn well. So it's, we just had it was a good summer, and, moving forward, looking back to those last 3 years, we're like, humanity gets a D-. They were
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh,
Jesus,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're
Yeah.
terrible.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
virtue signaling and your mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw you last night, Tony. You
Yeah.
were terrible.
Yeah.
You were licking cocaine off toilet seats. I know it. That wasn't me. It was the guy looked like me.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at it, just like,
Yeah.
wow, you guys behaved really terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
Humanity were terrible.
Yeah,
So it's like, hopefully we'll
I feel like,
wake up a bit.
yeah, I'm hoping more common sense is starting to come back around. I'm
There's nothing
hoping-
comment about that, but
Yeah,
I keep up on that long.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like love all the religious zealots. You're like, oh, this and the Lord. You're like, I'm pretty sure God showed up again and went, oh, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. You're not ready.
That's why you always talk about Stephen Hawking, and he was a brilliant man.
Yeah,
before he
yeah.
passed, and he was so concerned about AI. And I'm like, have you seen humanity lately?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
really worried about
Like,
AI?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
If it could help a few people,
Yeah. Mine, yeah.
Have you looked around?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Not
You
more
know?
more concerns about that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why it's kind of, it's funny. Our subject here, it's kind of like talk about the other side of it. These are kind of, as I said, in my experience in this building here, in this area, it's a great sense of comfort. If you ever took me away from it, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
If it's definitely part of my fabric, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, Steve and I run upstairs today. I constantly think about it. Like, what weird thing could be around the corner today? And I'm not Mr. Oh, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Like I see people, I'll bring them in and have a little tour or something like that.
Yeah.
And show them what's up. But I'm, because it's a fine line between, you want to sell, that's kind of fun, but
Fun,
you're
but
also
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
without being cringy.
Cringe,
you know?
yeah, exactly. Cringe.
Which some things are cringeworthy. You're like,
Yeah.
God, you didn't say that, did you?
Yeah,
You did,
yeah.
Whereas, these feelings are feelings, though, right?
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
it feels. So it may be dead, but it feels very alive.
Yeah,
more
yeah.
so than other places.
Other
so
places, yeah.
There you go. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, if you had to put one place here in the building that you felt that probably more of the side.
Oh, staircases, man.
Staircases?
Oh, that's weird. Oh, yeah.
Oh, staircases.
yeah. Jeez, that staircase up to First Avenue, 1 floor above that.
Yeah.
It's like every time I walk out the door, again, well, what does that mean? I don't know. You're asking me.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, well, that's what probably the least amount of people would be. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where they like hanging out.
Yeah.
They
Staircases.
can smoke out there.
Yeah. Take a little break.
It's like people say, "Oh yeah, but those strange odor, that's just the weed from First Avenue." Oh right, yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely the staircases.
Staircases.
Yeah. Nice staircase though. But,
Yeah,
still,
nice.
It's, but definitely there for
There.
sure. you know.
Nice. Well, what else do you want people to know before we wrap up?
Well, I think I've probably bored the daylights out of you for
No,
long enough,
it's-
guys. I've just thanks for coming, and it's here we're 40 odd years, and
Yeah.
the craziest maybe Halloween night tomorrow night be a lot of fun, and we're excited about getting moving forward as we just spent the last 10 minutes talking
Yep,
about our
exactly.
city moving forward, our Pike Place Market, and getting our places opened upstairs. the hidden gem and then the K Club on the roof. These would be kind of fun experiences
Yeah.
moving forward. So we're gonna have a
Big spring.
big spring
Right.
and another great Halloween next year. So
Yeah.
it's been a fun season so far.
Now we appreciate you letting us be
Well,
here
thank
and just
you.
talking
Yeah.
to you, picking your
Thanks
brain.
for this great show here.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
it. And the party after the after party.
Yeah, there we go.
Stephen and I'll be doing
Yeah.
it. You do the after party. We do the party after the after party.
I got you. Nice. Well, thanks again, Patrick, for
Thank you
joining
guys.
us.
Really
Really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
that.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we're back here with the manager of Kells Pub here. We got Steven here. How you doing, Steven?
Not too bad, guys. Pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, this guy helped set this up today, so thank you for that. That was really awesome. We definitely appreciate you having us here as well.
No,
And setting up Patrick here as well, which is awesome, the owner.
Yeah, no, we love doing stuff like this. Like the big thing about Kells, it's an Irish bar, but the building is so much more. And the main thing is to embrace the building.
Yeah.
You know, that's what keeps the place alive, and it doesn't matter what you come here for. If you come here for music, we have it. Food, we have it. The Irish experience, we have it. The haunted building, we have it. Like
Yeah.
we want something for everybody, that no matter who walks through those doors, we have something for you.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that's what we kind of like aim for, that whatever you need from us, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
And if it's not something we've done before, then let's try it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
This summer, for the first time ever, we hosted a wedding here, like that,
Oh, wow.
reception. And we done it on the roof. Patrick was mentioning
wow.
we're going to put a bar up there and make
Yeah.
it a deck
Yep.
and a club, but we actually hosted an entire wedding here.
Wow.
Don't know, do I want to do it again?
Yeah.
Dealing with a wife can be stressful sometimes,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when it's not your own.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
it was a cool experience to do it. You know,
Yeah.
just like I said, if somebody wants something to happen, we really do our best to make it happen.
Nice.
Must have been a lot of demands about getting things very particular and the way they want it, how they
You know,
want it.
it was one of those things where you just say yes, yes, yes to everything, and then the day comes around, and I was like, wait, we got to actually make this happen.
Yeah. All right.
Do we have everything?
Yeah, exactly. So, how long have you been here at the bar?
So originally, obviously I'm from Ireland, and I moved to New York, and I was in New York for about 10 years. Decided it was time for a change. Came to Seattle. Knew nothing about the area, nothing about the place. Just decided I wanted to change. I said, if I move anywhere on the East Coast, I'm going to run back to New York. And I know it. I love New York.
Yeah.
So I said, I need to get as far away as possible. Got to Seattle. Can't get any further without going to Canada.
Yeah.
And ended up here. And literally just in case it was an Irish bar, I was looking for work. Got onto Patrick, hit it off, came in the door. Didn't know anything about the history of the place, about the place being
Yes.
haunted or anything like that. So that was fun for me, just starting off kind of like.
Well, how did that go? Would you how did you start learning about the history of the building? Like, did something happen, or did you hear from somebody a story?
No, that's what actually happened. Was there was one night, I'd been here a couple of weeks, and I think it was like my first night closing on my own in the building. And so I would say you go past the kitchen into the office to drop your bank, your receipts, whatever. And I'm walking out, it's about 1:30 in the morning, and there was someone standing behind the chef area where you'd be cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, have a good night, and I walk out, and I'm halfway down the bar, and I stop, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the only one in the building, and it's 1:30 in the morning. So then I literally just turned around and went back in, and saw nothing there, and I was like, that was weird. And then I'm kind of looking around thinking, like I said, I didn't know anything about this place being haunted.
Yeah.
So I'm there looking, thinking some customers hidden away, or
Yeah.
some homeless guys after coming in and trying to find a place to sleep for the night. And I'm like, nobody here. And I'm like, I'm going crazy. I must be tired.
Yeah.
Go home to bed. And then I mentioned it to one of the staff next day, and he's like, you know this place is haunted, right? And I'm like, no. Like, what? And I remember the first time Patrick told me about that story about the guy seeing the girl in the kitchen. And, and then I was just like, I kind of didn't mention any more about that afterwards, and I was just like, wow. So there's something about that kitchen. I've never felt anything in the kitchen, and never felt uncomfortable or haunted. But I was like, there was someone standing there that day, and I know myself there was, because I said good night to them. And it was like halfway out the door, I'm like, wait a minute, I just said good night to someone. There shouldn't be anyone in the building. What's going on? And that was the first time that I that was without me even knowing this place was supposed to be haunted.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool then to kind of like, okay. But I was like, not in an uncomfortable situation or a worrying or scared situation.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Somebody
was there.
Yeah,
somebody was doing their own thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Patrick mentioned the kitchen and you mentioned the kitchen. So that's
because it was literally probably 3 months later before I heard Patrick telling that story to someone. It wasn't even to me directly. And then I was just like, now I wish I could go back and actually have paid more attention to who I said goodnight to. You know, was it a redheaded woman? Was it a guy? Who did I say goodnight to?
So when you close up shop and everything, if you're doing it by yourself, do you still get those like inklings like, let me.
Now it's horrible for me. I made the mistake then. The next night I was closing like an idiot. I said, you know what, now I'll sit down, I'll have a drink for myself. And like an idiot, I put on my phone and I just Googled about Kells in Seattle and started reading some of the stories. And then that was the worst thing you can ever do. Don't sit inside a haunted building and then read about some of the stories.
Right in the middle of it, like,
but like since then, I've had nights where like it's quiet and I'll have customers come in and like people that really like love, like they came here because of that. Like you said, you'd done the ghost tour before. I've had people like that done that and then they come back at the end of the night and they have a couple of drinks here and they're just on holidays. And like they'll turn around to me and be like, there's a ghost right there. Like, there's a woman standing right there in the corner, and I'm like, I can't see anything. And I'm like, you know what this means? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you're not leaving till I leave. I'm like, I'm gonna pour you your last drink and get the cleaning done while you drink that, and we're walking out of the building together. But like I said, I've never walked around feeling like scared or uncomfortable. But there's definitely been times where it's like, you kind of look at the corner of your eye going, I thought I saw something. You don't know. You can never know these things, you know. But that's all part of the fun of it too. You know, it's kind of like maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But it's. I like to believe, you know, it's like if there's something there, cool, awesome. And if there's not, well, I'm going insane, you know.
There you go. Out of all the stories you've heard, or maybe even like you've experienced, is there one particular like spirit you kind of hear more about than the other of them?
A lot of people come in hearing about the little girl in the red dress, and like I don't even Patrick mentioned it before. Like we had a bouncer and like a big massive guy. This is before my time, but there's this story about how he got to the bottom of these stairs and she was standing up here. He lives in Montana now. You know, he never came back in this building ever again. He left the state over that.
Wow!
And he was a guy that used to be like throwing people out Friday, Saturday nights. Not a worry. You could be twice the size. They'd take you on. A little girl in a red dress. Hell no! Help my car. I'm out of here. But it's funny because I remember there was one night I was working and I had this waitress come in. And well, I don't know what she does now, but she said she used to work here as a server 15, 20 years ago. And they were finishing up one night. They were doing the back bar. And they went around to the front, taking whatever bus bins into the kitchen, and then they had to go back and take all the candles, put them on a tray for the night, so they can be refilled the next morning. And then they come back to the back bar, and all the candles are sitting on the tray. And they were like, "Okay, just leave. The job's done. Let's not ask any questions." But the one thing that caught me twice now it's happened is there was one Saturday. It was an afternoon. It was like midday, 1 o'clock. And there was people sitting down by the right hand side of our fireplace downstairs, and they didn't know anything about this place being haunted because literally a mirror just flew off the fireplace and just smashed on the ground. And they were all apologetic and they were like, "Oh my God, sorry," thinking that they'd hit something, whatever. And I was like, I could see that just went flying. And I was like, "No, you're good, don't worry about it." And I remember this one was recent. This was like 2 weeks ago. We were in the back bar. And there was this guy, and he was so drunk. He was literally he'd been celebrating all day. We'd been giving him ginger ale, you know. We were trying to sober him up before he walked home, you know. And but we were all keeping an eye on him because he was drunk. But like he was a regular, he's a nice guy, so we weren't worried about him. We were just keeping an eye on him. And I happened to come from the back bar to the front bar, and he walks behind me. So he's here on my right, and then his empty glass just like fell and smashed. And then the bartenders are like, "Oh, we're just gonna have to get him to leave, Steve. We can't wait for him to sober up." And I was like, he was standing here on my right side when that fell. He's not taking the blame for this. And I was like, how easy? He was just like, "Oh, because he's been a little tipsy now, and he's drinking his ginger ale. It was his fault." I was like, "No, he walked behind me. My eye was on him when that glass smashed behind me." So like, you can't throw that on him as much as you want someone to blame. You know, it's like Patrick will kind of say sometimes like, staff will happily blame the ghost so they don't have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes it's like, I want to blame the staff, but we just can't.
Yeah. And that was recent, huh?
That was only 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and it was probably 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and it was just funny because, like I said, he was just sitting at the table drinking his ginger ale, and I was just after having a chat with him, and he was fine. And then I was standing up and I was looking around. Like I said, we're coming to the end of the night to make sure everybody was okay. He gets up. He was probably heading to the restroom or something.
Yeah.
And then the glass smashes.
Wow.
And the two bartenders are like, "Oh, we're gonna have to just ask him to leave."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, he was
over
there.
here.
My eyes were on him because I was paying
Yeah.
attention to him all night. I know where he was. He wasn't near that table.
Yeah.
So I was like, it happened right behind my back, but my eyes were on him. So I was like, no, we can't blame him on this one.
Wow. So do you feel it more of that stuff like closer to the end of the night or in the morning more? Like, do you open it all over here? How's that?
Yeah, I'm here every random hour. You know,
Yeah.
I've been here at 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been here at 3 o'clock at night. I've been here on my own. I've been here crowded, and that's one thing I will say. There's no pattern.
Yeah.
Like I said, that kitchen thing happened to me in 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the afternoon, there was a picture frame flying off
Yeah.
you know, and so it's just random, you know, and that's why, like, Patrick and me, we're working on First Avenue, but the main thing is we want to embrace that space.
Yeah.
And like, I love how I hear from customers, they're like, "Oh, people have tried going into First Avenue before, they've never succeeded, it's never worked out, they've never lasted very long."
Yeah.
And like he was saying there, how like some staff have horrific stories.
Stories,
Like,
yeah.
I look forward to that because I feel like when we go in there and we're going to embrace that, it's like, I want pictures of what it looked like when it was a funeral home. I want pictures of it when it was first built.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure that we call it, he was saying 21 spirits and
Yeah.
everything. I'm like, let's just call it spirits.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be selling liquor and we want to embrace
the spirits. Yeah.
And it's like, I look forward to making that work and succeeding. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, it's doesn't work. Everyone's tried it." And I'm like, you've got all that foot traffic on First Avenue.
Yeah.
Virginia Inn does great. Sonia's does great. The business is there.
Yeah.
So for you telling me it's not working out, if that's the reason it's not working out, I'm up for that challenge.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on that one? You know?
Like I said, we're gonna aim for December.
Okay.
Awesome if it happens. If it takes another month or two, I want it done right.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not going to be pushing to get it done too quick. I want to open it up because, like I said, it's going to be very different. Downstairs is an Irish bar.
Yeah.
This banquet room, we kind of host everything.
Yeah.
Weddings, celebration of life parties,
Yep.
birthdays, anything. That's going to be an old school kind of speakeasy vibe, but just embracing that it's an old school building and what it was.
Yeah.
You know, and we want to keep as much of what is left from the originality there. And like, you've got the beautiful view.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't see how it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the challenges of whatever problems people have had in the past.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see, like, especially if you're saying like the old people from the when they tried to make it work, like those staff people had those stories, right?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting what you guys going in there having dealt with some of that stuff here, but not like you guys obviously done it right because like you mentioned they're happy with you guys, right? The one lady mentioned, right, that she talked to the spirits and they were happy with you guys, so maybe you guys can make these guys happy over there.
That's it. And so like we've started opening Friday nights now. The banquet room, this space to the public from First Avenue. They've had this bar for 40 years downstairs, the building since 2005. This is the first time that we're even using that entrance. And like when you ask them, he's like, "Where?" He's like, "The stairways. That's where it is."
Yeah.
And so like I said, it's a slow process because people have never come in First Avenue entrance before.
Right.
So, but it's like I look forward to now somebody coming in some night and like screaming and be like, "What happened?" They're like, "I saw this on the stairway," and you're like, "Please give us a review. This is the kind of stuff we want. We want to sell this."
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? If these things are happening, the more publicity, the better.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
Like I said, you embrace it in a nice way, and like you were saying, how they said it in like Zach from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
It's like, if you go out of the way to try and force anybody to do something to make a reaction, of course they're not going to like you. You know? And for better or for worse, it's like they're like, okay, we're filming here, we want something on our cameras, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But then trying to get a reaction out of something that's
can't
not,
force it.
That's not the right way to go about things. You know, it's kind of like you do you, and,
Yep.
and then embrace that. But don't try and you try to get me to do something I don't want to do. You're not
Yeah.
gonna like the result.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, right. No, that's why I appreciate the way like Patrick was talking about it, how you guys are talking about it, keeping it like just 100, like a buck on it, real, right?
Yeah.
Like this is how it is, like not like overly. Oh, this is happening. This is happening. This is what we feel. This is what we see. This is what happens. You know, we can't explain it. It happens.
That's it. And like I like the way he was saying, like if he's away here for a while, like it's just like no, this is where he's comfortable. He wouldn't know what he would do without it, and I've definitely got that from when I came here for no reason. It's like I said, I just moved to Seattle, didn't know what I was gonna do, didn't know anything, and then I got part of Kells and I got in with Patrick, and now it's like I really want to embrace this building, and like I said, I'll be coming in here at 12 o'clock at night for YouTube ghost tours. I'll come in today on my day off for a podcast. Like I love the concept.
Yeah.
I love the building. I love the whole everything, the concept that it is.
Yeah.
And so I embrace it as much as anybody,
Yeah.
and really want to be part of everything else moving forward.
Nice. Yeah.
And so that's I think helps help me and Patrick get along, is because we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We want this place to thrive, not just to succeed. We want it to thrive.
Well, it looks like you guys have like quite a few things going, building up, and then you have the first act. Like you have a lot of stuff going on. Looks like it's good.
Exactly. It's a case of, you know what, when you sit idle, that's when you get lazy.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're constantly working on something,
Yep.
it just keeps you active, it keeps you motivated, and then best things can happen.
So you mentioned that you know like like YouTube Ghost Hunters, or you had like Zach guy that came in the Ghost Hunters. Like, what you like? Do you have any memorable experiences with anybody? Any of them being here with anybody?
Remember he was telling you about the room that's technically underneath First Avenue, where the urns were kept.
The urns, yeah.
That seems to be the room where everyone that comes in is kind of like, there's something in here. And I remember I brought him in there the last time. This is only 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and they have the machines. I don't know exactly how they work, but they're supposed to kind of be like what the spirits are trying to say to you comes out, you know. And so like they each have their own, and there's a lady in the room on the left, and she's like just saying, "Is anybody here? Does anybody want to communicate?" And I'm on the right with this other guy, and literally my right shoulder just went freezing cold. Like I'm getting chills, but I'm saying nothing.
Yeah.
And then your man's machine that's in his pocket just says, "I'm over here." And it's like he pulls out the pocket and it tells you afterwards in text what it did say. And like I heard it clear as day what it said, but we can see it then on the phone. And it's like the girl on the left, the lady's trying to communicate to them, and I'm just freezing my right shoulder, going like, okay, there's something here.
He's
I know there's something
right
here.
here.
I'm saying nothing because I don't want to be screaming on camera. And next thing then all of a sudden it's like, I'm over here, and it was just like, okay, now I'll tell you guys that my arm is breathing right now. There's something standing over my shoulder right now. And then they do the temperature thing, and it was like 10 degrees colder than the rest of the room. And it was just like, it's like, that room is definitely, but it's also a room that we just don't use for anything. It's just, it's left the way it's always been. And like that's where the urns were found when they first bought the building. It's a room not used. And so that was kind of pretty awesome. So it's like whenever people come in and I get a good vibe off them, I'm like, come on, I'll try something special, and I bring them into that room. And it's cool that it's just left empty, and it's like, I wouldn't clean it up, I wouldn't touch it, I would just leave it that way. Nice. You know, if he ever turned around to me and said, we need more storage, we have that space, I'd be like, no, we got to keep that the way it is. To me, that's like a treasure.
The hidden gem, right?
That's another name. We're kind of thinking it's spirits or the hidden gem. So like I started making an Instagram post for this space now on Friday nights, and I've called it the hidden gem. And so it's funny then you just randomly want to say that.
There's a sign.
That's it. Like me and Patrick are just constantly throwing names at each other, and we're like, let's just not stick to anything. Eventually, one of us is going to say something, and both of us are going to be like, light bulb. That's the name, and we're waiting for that to hit. But like I said, that's the least of it. The main thing is the concept inside there, and like we want it to be like a beautiful old school looking speakeasy, kind of like a piano bar. So like we'd still probably do live music in there, but it'll be very not speakers and vocal. It'll just be person there singing or person playing the piano, and just keep it nice and relaxed and cool. But the main thing is like having pictures and having like even just old articles about the space up there. Because the last time it was used was the Chapel Lounge, and it was pretty much like a nightclub. And I'm like, a space like that being used as a nightclub is just a shame. I'm like, you've got so much more potential there. And I'm like, hey, if your business is working, good for you. But I'm like, you can put that nightclub anywhere.
Yeah.
A space like this with so much history, you got to embrace that.
Yep.
Give some character and everything.
Yeah, exactly. The character's already there. The history's already there. It's all written on the walls for you.
Yeah.
You know, don't paint it wide and put flashy speakers
Yeah.
and loud music in there. No,
Yeah.
you got to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no, so we're really looking forward to that. That's all systems going on that. And if we can be home for Christmas, awesome. If it takes a little longer, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's awesome. A lot of big stuff. Looks like it's coming you guys' way. So that's good.
No point sitting idle.
Yeah, there you go.
COVID's over. It's time to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice talking to you guys, especially with Patrick too. Right now, he's talking about how he's seeing it. You know, it's gotten a lot better now. It's getting better and better.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like even since I've been here, it's like even there a week or two ago, he was saying like during the summer, of course you've got all the cruise ships, you have all the extra business.
Yep.
And like I always said to Patrick, the real challenge is in October.
Yeah.
When the cruise ships stop and we need to get the locals back in here
Yep.
and back going out. That's when the real challenge is. And we've been doing numbers that have been peak July. So it's like you got the beautiful weather,
Yeah.
all the cruise ships, peak tour season. And now that they're gone, we're still getting
Still
those
hitting
numbers,
those,
if
yeah.
not better.
That's
so
awesome.
it's constantly moving in the right direction. And that's the whole point. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we want all the tourists to come and experience this place in the summer, but also we want the locals to come in, have a great time, and want to come back again.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, I'm like, doesn't matter what party you have, let's get you in there. Let's
Yep.
get you to experience Kells. Because
Yeah.
we're confident enough that once you experience any kind of a party or an event here, you'll want to come back.
Come back, yep.
And that's the main goal. Is
Yeah.
that come in, read a library book up here, whatever it is, just to experience it.
Experience
and
it,
then I know my heart and soul, you're going to be back here on a random Friday night, or you'll have a Tinder date, or you'll have a birthday party.
There you go.
But there'll be some reason to bring you back again,
Yep.
and then it's worth getting you to come in and just walk around and just see the place for that to happen. So we're definitely kind of pushing forward.
Yeah.
Because definitely, people will say it's since COVID, but the world's changed where people don't go out as much anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's mostly
Yeah, and I was definitely a person that was for legalizing drugs because I'm
Yeah.
like, tax the motherfucker. People are buying them anyway.
Yeah. Makes money off.
Make your city better.
Yep,
Use
yep.
that money to build
Yep.
the walls. Don't tax our paycheck.
Yeah.
Tax that.
Yep.
You know, I smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Every year, that's the first thing that's going up in the budget.
Yeah.
But I don't mind because you know what? I'm still going to buy it. So take that extra money on taxes and do whatever you need to do to fix something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely causing people now to not go out and socialize as much.
That's the point where people are like they don't want to deal with the headache down there if it's bad down there or whatnot. But like I feel like I'm hoping I'm seeing over here, especially in Seattle, like somewhat of a turning point. Like people are coming to realization what they need down here, and safety is important.
that is the bigger issue because, like I said, it's not a Seattle problem. It's a worldwide problem where people aren't going out as much anymore. But then,
good point.
You defund the police, and then like you expect people to go out and feel safe, but how can they? You know? And I'm like laughing to where like we deal with the cannabis and liquor board every week coming in, making sure no one's drunk, no one's over speaking. We see them on a weekly basis, and like it kills us where we have to literally make sure you don't use a vape on the patio. We're responsible for it. And I'm like, you're paying people to give us fines for someone smoking a vape or whatever, whether it's weed or not. You're paying people to do this, but you're defunding the police. I'm like, you've got the money to pay these people to come in and bother us in their place of business and have no one walking the streets. And it kills me because I'm very pro police. I'm like, how can you live without them? But now you expect them to do a job where their hands are tied. Their hands are tied more than the criminals are.
How much is that? I don't know if I can go after you.
I remember when I first moved to Seattle and I had my car parked in a parking garage. I paid my $30 for parking and came back, all my windows smashed. And I'm like, break my window, get into my car, rob all my camping gear. No problem, right? I can understand that. You're shit out of luck, you need money, you rob my stuff. Why'd you break all the other windows? That achievement, unless the window company is paying these people, and you know what, if they are smart, good business move, business is quiet, we got to drum it up somehow. I can understand that, but otherwise, I just don't get it. Like I said, break the back window,
Yep.
get into the car, take what you want to take,
Yep.
and leave.
Yeah.
And then it sucks, but at least I can put a plastic bag over the window.
Yeah.
The city rains, in the winter, it's hard to like park your car with 5 broken windows.
Yeah.
and then you're ringing up and they're saying it's going to be 2 weeks before we can see you. So it's like, okay, so I'm not the only one with this
Yeah,
problem.
Yep.
$2,000 down.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
No windows.
But and that's not just Seattle. That seems to
Yeah.
be Portland, San Francisco. It seems
Yeah.
to be. It's just getting bad everywhere. And it's like, at what point do we say, no, we need to pump the money back into security and keeping people safe again?
I think it's funny at that point because a lot of those people that are loud about it earlier about the defunding are now coming around like, hey, we need more like security in like their area where they live or whatever. It's like,
I was living in New York when they had those riots. And like I had some police customers like off duty and like they were telling me the horrific stories where they were in the Apple store, all glass in Brooklyn, and they had to lock themselves in because of all the rioters crowding around them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are people that are taking a bullet for you. These are people that are paid to protect you. But forget about being paid, signed up to protect you. They get paid crap money, and they're trying to protect you, and you're turning on them like this. Like they have any control over anything. It's like they're literally told what they're allowed, not allowed to do anymore. It's not a case of go police anymore. No, it's like, no, you have to follow all these rules.
Exactly.
And you're making it harder for them to actually try and protect you, and that's all they want to do.
And there's less people signing up now for it.
Yeah, but exactly. You don't sign up to the police to just sit in an office and get a paycheck. You're signing up because you believe you can do something that matters. You want to help. And it's like you handicap them. You block them off at every corner. And now people are turning against them, and it's like that's not going to help anybody.
Nope, that's not that. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm hoping now. Common sense hopefully is coming back around. I'm hoping that hey, let's not do the defunding anymore.
It's that old saying, common sense isn't so common anymore. Right?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, having places like this and what you guys are building out, will definitely be like a beacon why people would want to come back down here, right?
Yeah.
So hoping for more of that.
We're so very lucky. This alleyway, it's so clean. Like I've had no problems with anything here. Like I'll walk around the streets and I'll be like looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
But, like I never have that issue.
That's what knows walking down here. Like you can kind of see some, you kind of looking over your shoulder. But down the post alley, like this area here, like there's people just taking pictures, just like feeling fun.
And you mentioned it earlier talking to Patrick. It's the more people around, the safer place will be.
Yeah.
People aren't going to smash your windows when there's people constantly walking up and down. And that's where we're very lucky that we're situated down here in Pike Place Market.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most popular places in the city.
Yeah.
So there's always people around, there's always tourists around, and it is kept clean and nice.
Yep.
And it's like you see the difference when you walk 2 or 3 blocks over.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, well, if it's this clean down here, why can't the rest of the city be that way? And it goes to show like it can be.
Yeah.
But a big thing that is people just coming out and just being on the streets again, going for dinner again, and you do see then that kind of stops the mischief.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. And what makes people want to come out again if they know they're safe, right?
100%. You want to be able to have a couple of drinks and know you're going to be able to get an Uber
exactly.
and not have to worry about looking over your shoulders.
Exactly. No, that's all that 100%, and I agree with that.
No, but Seattle's got a lot going for it right now. Like, we'll say you've got the next World Cup's going to be here.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to that.
That's going to be.
And I don't think Ireland will make it, unfortunately, in soccer anymore. But if they do, better again. I'm going to be situated in a prime place to see them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys be playing the World Cup no matter what.
100%.
Packed here.
Like that's the big thing about the back bar. We do our live music there, and we're kind of known for it. But the setup we have for sports, people haven't seen that yet, and like anyone that came to watch any of the rugby games have experienced it, and they're kind of now starting to see like wow, and like we're a 49er bar, and like so that builds itself up, and they realize, but like the TV, the projector, the surround sound we have is probably one of the best areas to watch a bar that I've been to, and I've lived in Australia, Ireland, America, and I'm like watching sports here is a great experience, and that's definitely something we're also looking to kind of promote more for people to come in and see that, because we should be full every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. Doesn't matter what game you have, we'll put it on. We'll find it. If you ring us and you want some Argentina soccer football, we will get it for you.
Wow.
Because we really want this to be as much of a sports bar downstairs as a live music venue. We want to please everybody. We want everyone to be able to say, just come to Kells.
Yeah.
You want food, we got it. You want drinks, we got it. Sports, music, entertainment.
The one-stop
make
shop, we got it all,
exactly.
right,
we,
yeah.
we want everyone to come in. We want everyone to be happy.
Yep.
We want everyone to socialize again and bring back the good times.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think to be another prime spot for building another Coug bar. That would be that would be pretty nice.
I don't know if you guys do college sports here or not.
But yeah, literally, like I said, it was only 2 weeks ago, and like we have a big South African following here, and so it was the semi-final of the World Cup, and then a couple of I think they were from Idaho College. They came in. They were like, "Oh, can we get it on one of the TVs, please?" So we made it work.
Nice.
They spent 4 hours here, had a great time, loved the place, left a good review afterwards online, and it was just, but it was like, no, if you're here and you want something, we'll make it work.
We might need to make this the Coug bar.
Yeah.
We might need all the Cougs to come here on Saturdays.
No, 100%. Yeah, we make sure it's like, if you come and you want to have a good time, we're going to make that happen.
Right.
Whatever, moving a table, moving a chair, changing the TV, we'll do it. The important thing is that you come, you experience Kells, you have the best time possible, and then we try to make either you come back or you tell your friends, you know what, if you're in that side of town or you're in the neighborhood,
go to Kells.
or if you're visiting Seattle, check out Kells.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, we have a lot more people coming in now going, oh yeah, my friend told me about this, or someone told me. And it's like, I have friends from New York texting me now sometimes going like, oh, I have these people in, they say they love Kells.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's what we want. We want, you're over New York and you're promoting us.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's just like, that's what I want to hear.
Come to Seattle, Space Needle, Pikes Market, Kells.
Yeah.
there you go. You know?
That's all it takes sometimes, word of mouth to get it to spread.
yeah.
It's crazy nowadays.
It's 9 times out of 10, that is what, at least you can rely on word of mouth. You know,
Yeah.
you can read all the reviews and we can promote whatever online. But
Somebody's word's gonna mean.
What's the best part of a movie? The trailer, you know.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to so many movies, and you're like, the trailer was awesome, the movie not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I see a trailer that's bad, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna watch it.
Oh, if the trailer's bad, there's no way you're
No,
going to watch
yeah.
it.
No.
But then there's plenty of movies where the trailer is awesome, and then the movie's not so good.
Or all the good parts were in the trailer.
Yep.
Exactly. But when someone tells you need to go see this movie, now you're like, okay,
Now
now I'm
gotta watch
intrigued.
it.
Now I know I gotta go see
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Because if you've seen it and said it's good, now I got something to back that up.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to tell the audience out there about the Kells? Or I know you talked about the future plans and what's coming up, which is great. Anything else just about,
No, just literally, and it's not even about come to Kells. Just get out there, go
Yeah,
to restaurants, go
a good
to
message.
bars.
That's a good message.
It's to get out of your house again.
Touch grass, live life.
I won't lie, I love being on my own. It's peaceful, but who was it? Was it Tom Hardy said it? It's dangerous because you get used to it.
Used to it,
and
yeah.
it's it seems great, but you know what? We were born to socialize,
Yep.
and you know what? Your best memories won't be sitting at home and it being peaceful. It'll be this one time at band camp.
Exactly.
They're the stories, and it's like, as much as peace and quiet and relaxing is awesome.
Yeah.
When you're old and you're telling your grandkids stories, they're going to be from a bar or a restaurant or even just going to the beach. But it's socializing. It's like, we got together and this is what we done. The pictures you're going to show people are you and a group of friends, and this is what we done. It won't be, oh yeah, I sat at home and it was the best night of my life.
Yeah. And I think that's a great message. That's a great way to end it on that. And hopefully you make that memory here at Kells, and maybe you see a girl in the red dress or
100,
or somebody in the kitchen.
That's it. And make sure if you do experience it, you come tell me. So
there you go.
So I have another story to tell.
And you guys can leave together.
And you leave
Yeah,
together.
right. And you're single, I finish the night.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Steven. Really appreciate it again, man.
Appreciate
Awesome
it, guys.
having
Thank
on
you very
here
much for coming.
and having us here. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.